With Joe Burrow staring down a grueling 3-month recovery, the Bengals might be plotting a jaw-dropping move for the Browns' rookie quarterback, Shedeur Sanders. Jake Browning has proven himself as a solid backup, no doubt, but bringing in Sanders could flip the script, giving Cincinnati not just depth, but a whole new layer of firepower.
But there's a real possibility that Joe Burrow has played his last down this season for the Bengals.
You know I'm the biggest Shedeur fan in the world. There's nothing he can do Friday to win the job to start against the Bengals. Let's get that out of the way right now. What Shedeur can do is he can change the narrative. The narrative is the Browns don't see him as a franchise quarterback. They would have drafted him in the first round if they did. They drafted Dylan Gabriel over him. So what he has to do Friday night is to change their thing.
The Cleveland Browns are spiraling out of control, burning down without anyone even lighting a match. And why's the city in panic mode? Because the whispers won't stop. Shedeur Sanders might hit the ultimate curveball and slide straight over to the Bengals. Just picture it, Browns fans drowning in nachos while Cincinnati sharpens its claws, ready to rip away the spotlight. This ain't just football, this is pure drama dressed up in cleats.
So now it sounds like the Cleveland Browns are going to all but imprison Shedeur Sanders in the football sense of a very talented rookie quarterback who obviously needs reps, needs an opportunity, and who now, barring some miraculous luck, will not get the opportunity to play in a single real game. I'm sure many around the NFL are celebrating as we speak.
If you're rocking with the story, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It helps way more than you think. The Cleveland Browns don't even need gasoline to set ablaze. All it takes is one rumor to send the city spinning. Just one whisper about Shedeur Sanders possibly cozying up with the Bengals, and suddenly Cleveland is unraveling like it's auditioning for a messy daytime soap opera. Fans are panicking, the media is foaming at the mouth, and rival squads are laughing so hard they're nearly choking on their popcorn. It's almost poetic, except Cleveland's poetry always feels like tragic comedy on repeat.
Given what Shedeur went through and what you went through, watching tonight, does it make it almost more meaningful than just a football game?
I'm not going to say meaningful. We've already spoken like 3 times a day. We just got off the phone joking and clowning like crazy. But he's so prepared right now. A lot of people are approaching it like a preseason game. He's approaching like a game. And that's how he's always approached everything, to prepare and approach it like this is it. I just can't wait to see him get down tonight. But it's going to be a little weird. It's going to be a little strange. It's going to be a problem after tonight, though. I promise you that.
The Browns, bless their hearts, have turned quarterback drama into a yearly holiday like clockwork. Every season drops a brand new episode in their never-ending soap. Who's starting? Who's injured? Who's suspended? And who's next in line to let the fans down? If the NFL had a Hall of Fame dedicated to pure quarterback chaos, Cleveland wouldn't just earn a bust, they'd have an entire wing with their name engraved in neon lights.
It felt fun. Felt fun to get out there, be with the team, going into the final week. I don't know, it's weird. Like, consider training camp still? Well, I'm just say preseason. Because on the film breakdown, I don't say training camp, say preseason. All right, so final week of preseason. It's a lot because I know it's a lot of relationships with a lot of guys in the building and a lot of guys in the locker room. That we all may never play on the same team.
So, of course, the thought of Shedeur Sanders packing his bags and heading to the AFC North, not for Cleveland, but for Cincinnati, feels like salt rubbed deep into a wound that never stops bleeding. Browns fans can't even munch their nachos in peace without stressing that the Bengals might be cooking up the next dynasty right under their noses, stealing both their hope and their spotlight in one ruthless move.
Listening to Cleveland Sports Talk Radio last night, and they were saying some things that I think was straight up out of pocket. Now, we know the Cleveland Browns, they always give us some type of debacles in their games, but when you have a quarterback who is trying to be positive, especially with all the crap that they put him through and all the things around him, you don't spin a scenario of what he don't need to be.
And here's the real kicker. This ain't just football. This is pride, history, and the cruel comedy of being a Browns fan. While most franchises pray for Super Bowl glory, Cleveland is stuck praying for a quarterback who doesn't completely implode by week 6. So when the name Shedeur Sanders floats into the rumor mill, Browns Nation reacts like somebody just told them their ex ran off with a billionaire. The mix of rage, denial, and disbelief is priceless. It's the kind of meltdown you almost feel guilty watching, almost. Now let's talk about Shedeur. He's not some random college quarterback padding stats. This is the crown prince of Deion Sanders' empire. He's got swagger, the numbers, and that shiny it factor NFL teams go crazy for. Marketability. Shedeur ain't just tossing touchdowns, he's throwing himself straight into the league's next big storyline. When he takes the field, scouts lean forward, brands start dialing, and front offices start sweating bullets. And Cleveland's panic? Oh, it's elite, because Shedeur isn't the kind of player who fades into the roster. He's the kind who reshapes rivalries overnight. Picture him in orange and black stripes, dropping dimes to Jamar Chase, while Joe Burrow schools him on how to run a whole division. That's the nightmare scenario Cleveland doesn't need, but can't stop seeing every time they close their eyes.
Obviously, Joe Burrow has a turf toe injury that will require surgery. He will be sidelined for a minimum of 3 months. Typically, this is a 12 to 14-week recovery period from an injury like that. That would mean that if it was best case, the soonest he could be ready, as much as he might push, would be December 15th, and it very well could be into the new year before he's ready again. Let's see if the Bengals and Jake Browning, their new quarterback, can keep them afloat until then.
But let's not ignore the Browns' current mess. Deshaun Watson, the so-called golden ticket, has been anything but golden. Injuries, inconsistency, and a contract that feels less like an investment and more like a financial hostage note have Cleveland locked down tight. They've tied up nearly the entire franchise fortune in one man. And what do they have to show for it? A highlight reel so short it could fit into a TikTok clip. Fans were promised a franchise revival, but instead they're stuck watching rivals snatch the spotlight. Baltimore's flexing with Lamar Jackson, turning games into track meets. Pittsburgh may be rebuilding, but at least they've got direction. And Cincinnati? They've got Joe Burrow grinning like a quarterback god every time he steps on the field. Now picture that squad adding Shedeur Sanders into the mix. Cleveland doesn't just face more competition, they'd need a therapist on speed dial. Because the Bengals drafting Shedeur would be the league's most glamorous insurance policy. With Joe Burrow's health always under the microscope, Bengals fans hold their breath every time he limps. So what if the franchise decides to stop gambling with their future? Draft Shedeur, park him behind Burrow, and suddenly that quarterback room looks like a Marvel superhero crossover. Cleveland wouldn't just need prayer, they'd need divine intervention.
Rumors are flying that Shedeur Sanders could be on the move to the Cincinnati Bengals. Imagine with Joe Burrow out, Shedeur Sanders can finally get a chance to start. Trade rumors are getting some real traction with all these quarterbacks getting injured. But the main particular one, the Cincinnati Bengals, after Joe Burrow done injured his toe and being out for at least 3 months, it could be a real possibility. Hey, Money Man, so what could that trade look like? Cincinnati Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow has a toe injury that will keep him out at least 3 months. It is yet another unfortunate injury setback for one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Without Burrow, the Bengals would likely struggle.
And the fans feel it deep. That's why panic is spreading through Cleveland like wildfire. Losing to Burrow? They've accepted that fate the way people accept taxes or lousy weather. But the thought of losing to Burrow and Shedeur? That's like getting dunked on twice in the same play and replayed in slow motion. Browns fans are already the punchline of every NFL joke. And now this rumor just hands the league brand new material. Rival fans are gleefully loading their meme cannons while Cleveland drowns in its own tears. Meanwhile, the media is eating this up like it's a holiday feast. Sports networks live for chaos like this. They don't even care if the rumor has legs. They just want to keep the beast fed. Suddenly, every headline screams, Shedeur to Cincy, as if the ink is already dry. Debate shows spin it like gospel, while fan forums explode into all-out war. One side swears it's just smoke. The other insists the fire's already raging. Either way, Cleveland looks like it's stuck watching its own house crumble in slow motion. And here's the cruelest twist. The AFC North was already the NFL's toughest division. 4 franchises constantly punching each other in the mouth for scraps and bragging rights. Now the idea of Shedeur stepping into that gauntlet, It just makes the bloodbath even nastier.
Yo, look, I'm sick and tired of seeing how the Cleveland Browns and the NFL is treating Shedeur Sanders. This right here got me hotter than fish grease. This got me hotter than Texas on an August noon when it's 111 degrees. This right here is bull dookie. I'm trying not to curse. I'm trying to stay kid friendly. But this is crazy. Bro not even running practice squad. They say he not even practice.
Picture it now. Shedeur versus Deshaun, Shedeur versus Lamar, Shedeur throwing himself against that ironclad Steelers defense. Every Sunday would feel like a heavyweight fight, except Cleveland would be the poor soul swinging with one arm tied behind its back. But then reality slaps us in the face. How likely is this rumor, really? The Bengals have Burrow locked up, and unless disaster strikes, he's their guy for the next decade. Drafting Shedeur would be a luxury, not a necessity. Still, that hasn't stopped the speculation. Because Cincinnati lives for offense, thrives on young talent, and nothing entertains them more than watching Cleveland lose its collective mind over a move that might never even happen. That's psychological warfare at its finest. And here's the wild part. Shedeur doesn't even need to take a single snap to cause chaos. Just one rumor, one flashy headline, and Cleveland combusts like dry wood in a campfire. The Browns don't just fear losing games anymore, they fear losing hope itself. And Shedeur represents everything they crave: hope, swagger, and the future all wrapped in one. If Cincinnati actually grabbed him, Cleveland would be left staring through the glass at success it can never touch, once again shut out of the party. And the fans, oh, they're absolutely priceless in their panic.
Be sidelined for a minimum of 3 months. The Bengals already have been calling around to add another quarterback. That's from a depth standpoint. But the fact of the matter is Jake Browning will be the guy. He is expected to be the guy. And Joe Burrow has taken so much punishment there in Cincinnati from the time that he arrived there in 2020. You put up the pass rush win rate right there, where the Bengals have ranked in the league, and you see those numbers. That is rough for a quarterback to absorb all those hits, all those years. And you wonder what type of cumulative effect it will have on Joe Burrow physically and mentally moving forward. So we'll keep an eye on that as that unfolds.
Some fans are clinging to denial, swearing it'll never happen. Others are convinced the universe is plotting against them, already flooding the internet with angry posts, calling for new management, demanding trades, begging for a miracle draft pick to save their sanity. It's like watching a reality TV meltdown, only with jerseys and face paint. At this point, you don't even need to watch the games. The drama off the field is the real show. Let's be real. Shedeur Sanders has options, and Cleveland knows it. Fear is creeping in. Fear that their multi-million-dollar quarterback investment is looking more like a financial sinkhole. Fear that the NFL's next superstar could be rocking Bengal stripes instead of brown and orange. And nothing shakes Browns Nation harder than the thought of becoming irrelevant in a division already stacked with killers. So here we are. The rumor mill spins, the media laughs, and Cleveland burns in broad daylight. Will Shedeur Sanders actually end up in Cincinnati? Maybe, maybe not. But the beauty is, it doesn't even matter. The simple suggestion has already poured gasoline over a fan base one spark away from total collapse. One thing is crystal clear. The AFC North is about to get nastier, louder, and funnier than ever. If Shedeur lands in Cincinnati, it's curtains for Cleveland. If he doesn't, the panic was still pure entertainment. Either way, Browns fans better invest in fire extinguishers, because these flames aren't dying down anytime soon.
I think that Shedeur, for the very first time, the Browns have national media talking in a positive light about this starting QB. And that is something that is unparalleled. Something you've never seen in Cleveland since you've been a fan here. Yes or no?
I mean, it's been a while, no doubt. When Joe Flacco went on the run and you made the playoffs, that was something that nobody saw coming.
That short-lived type. You could argue Baker to an extent.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of drama there.
And here's the cold truth about the Browns. They've been trapped in a never-ending nightmare for so long, it's almost like they're addicted to the chaos. Every offseason, the promises roll in. This is the year the quarterback situation is fixed. This is the year the defense is locked in. This is the year the ghosts of the past finally get buried. But every time the calendar flips, Cleveland ends up watching the same tragic rerun. And now, just when they thought the quarterback drama couldn't possibly sink any lower, along comes Shedeur Sanders, not as a savior, but as a rumor lurking in enemy territory. Picture the Bengals draft table. Smug executives sipping water like it's champagne, scribbling Shedeur's name on a card just to watch Cleveland's collective blood pressure explode. They wouldn't even need him to play a snap. Just parking him on the sideline with a clipboard in Cincinnati would be enough to haunt Browns fans all year long. Because for Cleveland, it's never just about losing games, it's about losing the storyline. And Shedeur is the kind of fresh, magnetic narrative they've been chasing for decades without ever catching. Meanwhile, the Bengals are already living the dream. They drafted Joe Burrow, turned him into the face of the franchise, and marched straight into relevancy without breaking a sweat.
I knew it wasn't going to be too big for him. I just, I was having some problems and trying to figure out why we were not giving this kid the reps or some reps. I know we have a lot of quarterbacks on this football team, but to give all those guys reps and not give this kid any reps, I'm like, what the hell are we doing over there? What's going on? And then think about it. We pretty much just threw him into the fire without any reps or anything like that. I mean, and look how this kid responds. And he's not going against the scrubs out there. No. He's going against their first defense.
The Browns, they take quarterbacks, turn them into cautionary tales, and march straight into meme history. Meanwhile, the Bengals draft a star and he blossoms. The Browns draft a star and he fizzles out like flat soda on a hot day. So the thought of Cincinnati stacking Burrow and Shedeur, that's not just terrifying for Cleveland, it's flat out insulting. It's like watching your neighbor hit the lottery twice while you're still scraping coins to pay off a parking ticket. And here's the cruel twist. Cincinnati doesn't even have to try that hard anymore. They've built a culture, an identity. Shedeur stepping into that locker room would feel like a perfect fit. Drop him in Cleveland, though? Instant chaos. Media trucks parked outside his house, fans ready to crown or crucify him after one practice throw, and a franchise with a history of chewing up quarterbacks and spitting them out like sunflower seeds. That's the ugliest part. Shedeur has the luxury of dodging Cleveland completely, and everybody knows it. So when the whispers start that he might actually consider Cincinnati, Browns fans don't just see a rumor. They see fate mocking them all over again. First, they watched LeBron bounce out of town twice. Then they watched Burrow set up shop next door and turn into a superstar. And now the idea of Shedeur rocking Bengal stripes, that's just the football gods reminding Cleveland who's really in charge. Spoiler alert, it sure ain't them.
Man, look, I don't know where to start, but let's talk about it. So now the conversation is why Shedeur didn't want to get drafted to Baltimore. Bro, y'all can't be serious, bro. Y'all really cannot be serious. All right, so let's talk about it. So I guess the Baltimore Ravens were going to draft Shedeur in the 5th round, right? They're going to draft him in the 5th round. And Shedeur just told him straight up, like, look, Lamar Jackson is a 2-time MVP. You know, this, that, and that. I don't have a shot at playing in Baltimore. I don't have a shot. You know, and I respect that.
Of course, fans being fans, the reactions swing from hilarious to heartbreaking. Some are locked in denial, swearing the Bengals would never dare pull such a stunt. Others are spiraling into apocalypse mode, convinced this is the start of another decades-long stretch of irrelevance. And then there's the loud crew actually mad at Shedeur himself, as if a college quarterback is personally plotting to ruin Cleveland Sundays. The desperation is so raw, you almost feel bad for them, almost. But here's the real punchline. This chaos is all over a rumor, a whisper, a pure what if. Shedeur hasn't signed anything, hasn't pledged loyalty anywhere, hasn't even dropped a hint about Cincinnati, and yet Cleveland is already acting like the ink is dry and the funeral is scheduled. That's how fragile this franchise has become. Reality isn't required to break them. Speculation alone sends them crashing. And that's what makes this story so perfect. Because whether Shedeur Sanders ever rocks a Bengals jersey or not, the damage is already done. Cleveland is in flames, Cincinnati is smirking, and the rest of the AFC North is grabbing popcorn to watch the meltdown. If chaos were currency, the Browns would be billionaires. But too bad chaos doesn't win Super Bowls. So what do you think? Would Shedeur flipping to Cincinnati destroy Cleveland's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more wild stories just like this.